This video revolves around the thalamus and the basal ganglia and their related structures. Talking about thalamus, thalamus is a large ovoid mass of gray matter which is the part of diencephalon, along with the subthalamus, the epithalamus and the hypothalamus. It serves as the cell station to all the main sensory systems except the olfactory pathway. The lateral surface of the thalamus is separated from lentiform nucleus by a band of white matter called internal capsule. The nerve fibers lying within posterior limb of internal capsule radiate towards the calcarine sulcus and are called as optic radiation. The fibers of the optic radiation are the axons of the nerve cells of the lateral geniculate body. Thalamus is situated on each side of the third ventricle. Third ventricle is a median cleft in the diencephalon between the two thalami, and midline between the left and right lateral ventricles, and is filled with cerebrospinal fluid. Going on to the parts of diencephalon, after thalamus, we have epithalamus. Epithalamus consists of habenula nuclei and their connections in the pineal gland. The pineal gland is a small conical structure that is attached by the pineal stalk to the diencephalon. Its endocrine function is to secrete melatonin. Habenula nucleus is a small group of neurons situated just medial to the posterior surface of the thalamus. Habenula commissure is the group of fibers interconnecting the right and the left habenula nuclei. Posterior commissure is a large fiber bundle crossing from one side of the cerebrum to the other side, to where the aqueduct opens into the third ventricle. Let's move on to the subthalamus, which is also called the ventral thalamus. It lies inferior to the thalamus. Its major part is the subthalamic nucleus, which has a shape of biconvex lens and has important connections with corpus striatum. It is involved in the control of muscle activity. Dorsal thalamus is large part of the diencephalon, located dorsal to hypothalamus excluding the subthalamus and medial and lateral geniculate body. Metathalamus, it is composed of two parts, lateral geniculate body, which serves as auditory relay, and medial geniculate body, which serves as visual relay. Hypothalamus is that part of the diencephalon that lies below the hypothalamic sulcus, on lateral wall of the third ventricle. Stria terminalis is medial to the tail of the caudate nucleus, which also ends anteriorly in amygdaloid nucleus. So, in short, it is the connection between the caudate nucleus and amygdaloid nucleus. Corpus callosum is the largest commissure of brain which connects two cerebral hemispheres. Cingulate gyrus begins beneath the anterior end of the corpus callosum and continues above corpus callosum until it reaches posterior end. Let's move on to the basal ganglia. Basal ganglia are made up of gray matter and are strongly interconnected with cerebral cortex, thalamus and brainstem. Basal ganglia are a group of neurons which are found in the region below the cerebral cortex and is termed as subcortical. It functions for the posture and the control of voluntary movements. Caudate nucleus is a C-shaped mass of gray matter, which lies lateral to the thalamus. It is divided into three parts for the description purposes: the head, body and tail. Head of the caudate nucleus is large and rounded in structure. Body of caudate nucleus is long and narrow, whereas the tail of caudate nucleus is long and slender. The tail of the caudate nucleus terminates anteriorly in the amygdaloid nucleus. Amygdaloid nucleus, or amygdala, is an almond-shaped set of neurons located deep in the brain's medial temporal lobe. It plays a key role in the processing of emotions and forms part of limbic system. Now, let's talk about the lentiform nucleus, which is also called lenticular nucleus. It is a wedge-shaped mass of gray matter, whose broad convex base is directed laterally, and the plate is directed medially. A vertical plate of white matter divides nucleus into larger, darker and lateral portion called as putamen. The inner light portion is called the globus pallidus. Going on to thalamus, it is a small structure within the brain, located just above the brainstem, between the cerebral cortex and midbrain. It functions as a relay station to the motor and sensory signals to the cerebral cortex. Hippocampus, another small organ, located in the medial temporal lobe of brain, just like amygdala, it forms a major part of limbic system, and functions in the control and regulation of emotions.